Wow. Hello, people of the world. I guess I'll get the streams ready. I wish there was a way to quickly get those links, unless you have them.
They're all the ways the same. Are they not?
No. The
Twitch is.
Yeah, the Twitch one's the same, but the YouTube URL and the Periscope one, I think, change.
Isn't there? Well.
So those are not. It'd be cool if we could automate that.
Actually, there is.
What?
There is.
What is?
There is a way to automate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just never tried it.
We should do that.
Wait, hold on. Did you post yet?
No.
Okay, let me see.
I won't post.
I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Let me see. We are live. Join. What should I say? What should I say? I don't know what to say.
Join us live.
We are live.
That's usually what I say.
Yeah, just do join us live.
I'm usually like, join us live. Not that it's boring or anything, but you know. It is what it is. It's too far to scroll down. We have too many episodes.
Press this button. See what this button said. Or button does. I don't even know what this button does, but it did something.
What does this button do?
It did something. Let's see what it did.
It
said something's posted.
Should I go to our Facebook?
I'm going there now too.
Me too. Oh, I see a 1. Does that mean something's new?
Huh? I don't know.
And for those of you who are live, watch us figure out how the back end of our whole podcast works.
Find out what this button does on this webpage.
Join us live as we find out what this button does.
Nope. No.
This week in Industry 4.0.
Oh. Nothing. Let me see. Did it post on my wall?
Is it on yours?
Nope.
Let's find out.
Nope, it's not. Not anywhere. It's not there.
Oh. Where did it go?
Huh.
Did it post to...
Let me try again. Connect Facebook account. Okay.
Where did it post to? Did it post to the Twitter account?
No, it says Facebook. That's where it said.
Oh.
And then not personal page I4O. Settings has been successfully taken. Update. Social network message with.
Well, either way, I'm going to. Oh, you have the. It said the message sent.
Yeah, that's what it said last time too, but it didn't do it.
So I just looked at our follower count. We have 1440p followers.
1440p.
We're officially podcasting in UHD on Facebook. Or would that be QHD? No, it's UHD.
No, it's UHD.
Yeah.
No, it's not. UHD is 4K.
No,
QHD.
Yeah, quad high def is 4K.
Yeah. No. No, UHD is 4K.
2K.
QHD is 1440p.
Can we agree to disagree that it's just 2K?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, we're halfway there. So that's not working, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm just gonna.
I haven't seen anything.
I'm gonna do it the old-fashioned way.
Maybe you can set up an IFTT script or something.
Maybe. Also, I don't really feel like doing that. All right, hold on. Let me just collate these links here. The long, verbose way of saying join, not Joan. Join us live. For anybody already watching, I appreciate the prompt Promptness. Is that a word? Hello, Periscope. I see we have 4 viewers. Hello, Twitch. And hello, YouTube. I see on YouTube we have 1 watching. That may or may not just be me grabbing the link. But I'm definitely not 4 people, so hello to the folks on Periscope. What happens if I post our show links as a job listing?
You do that?
Could work for us. No, it's whenever you go to post on our page, it's like post as a business post or post as a regular post. And I'm like, when have I ever wanted to post as a business post?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Did you? Well, it looks like Matt closed the wrong window. We'll just wait till he finds the right link again. Oh, Matt. Well, hello.
Got a little too aggressive there.
You closed the wrong window, didn't you?
Whoops.
Yeah, I was updating whoever's watching. Yeah, it's like, oh, wait. Oh, it's white all of a sudden. What just happened? I was like, oh.
Whoops. Yeah, I was trying to clean up my links and I closed the wrong browser tab. That's what I get for keeping my video feed open in a different browser window. Let me reopen the show notes because I did that too.
Test. Okay.
I'm going to put it in a different window, but I'm not going to close it this time. I promise. Okay. I'm ready to go whenever you are.
Yeah. You just count. You can count down and just start. We're not gonna have the intro. I don't have.
That's fine.
Because you can't hear. I could play it for the stream, but you can't hear it, so you can't really get the cue of when to I'll just do it in post.
Yeah, we'll do it after live.
We're doing it after
live. Okay. So let me just get my head on straight. And I will. Actually, let me get the Twitch stream open so I can see the I like being able to keep an eye on the comment stream that happens in the actual stream itself.
Yep.
I like being able to see that. I always put that like in a separate area. And the nice thing is that I can leave it in theater mode too and still see the comments. Okay, that goes up here. I need to get like a window arrangement going.
Ready when you are.
I was born ready. All right. I'm caffeinated and ready to go. So, episode 42 of I4O starting in 3, 2, 1. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 42 of I4O, your number 1 source of this week's news in technology. I am Matt, joined today by Ervin. We have a nice 2-man podcast going on. How's it going, Ervin?
Doing well. Well. Yeah, we got some good stories to cover this week.
Yeah, some of these are really exciting. I think it'll be a good episode. So, to jump straight into the first topic, we may be out of work soon. So, there's a motherboard article saying deep voice software can clone anyone's voice with only 3.7 seconds of audio, which is that's it's pretty incredible for only 3.7 seconds. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to some of the audio feeds that they
Yeah.
include in this article. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
So
it definitely is crazy. Because when you said that, like, we might be out of a job soon, because we've done 42 episodes. There's a lot of recording out of our voices out there, so they could pretty much just write up an article or a script, and it could read it, and it could sound just like any 5 of us on this show, which is kind of crazy. This is similar to I don't know if you've seen this. Adobe showed off this type of technology on one of their conferences. I don't know how, a couple of years ago now.
I feel like we actually reported on this a while back.
We may have,
but yeah, that's.
But
it does. It reminded me of that when I first.
Yeah, so it does that similar thing where it takes a couple seconds of the video and you can cut out snippets and rewrite. Just type in text and it'll sound just like that person. But they never released it to the public. So there was just a demo. I think they were too scared of like the implications, like what could happen, right? If you could fake someone saying, or a politician saying a certain thing, that you can prove who said it, if he actually said it, or was it just one of these manipulations? This is called deep voice, and I think that's sort of related to the deep fakes. I don't know if we discussed deep fakes on the show.
I don't think so.
Yeah, we never really discuss it, but deep fakes are these fake videos that someone put out a piece of software that lets you pretty much superimpose a face on anybody else, and make it look fairly realistic. With just your home computer. Previously, you needed a pretty.
What is it with AI and having deep listed before any of their names? Like, I never understood that in any way. Like,
a deep neural network. I don't know. Actually,
but it's something that always like threw me off, because you have DeepMind from Google, like learning, deep face, and then now deep voice. But yeah, this comes from Chinese tech giant Baidu. They've come through with a bunch of other stuff. That's what I thought it was. I thought this was another follow-up on the Adobe thing when you originally linked it, until I saw that it was from Baidu and not Adobe. So
and Baidu, if anyone doesn't know, is pretty much the Google of China.
Yeah, they're one of the big innovators over in China.
The Google and Amazon of China. It's huge.
Yeah, and they were saying a year ago this technology needed around 30 minutes of audio to create a new fake audio clip, but now it sounds like, albeit it's not very high quality. But it sounds like a very low quality. Like if you're using a crap microphone, it sounds kind of like what that would sound like in a way.
But just this is today. Think of it like 10 years down the line. What kind of implications does this have in terms of like who can we trust? And like if computers are so good at replicating someone, either using the deep fakes type of video or the audio or the combo of the two, right? You combine the two and then you have this, you can pretty much make anyone say anything.
Yeah.
And you could say that like just looking at the laws of it's just gonna get better, right? In 5-10 years with time, technology,
voice and AI.
It's just gonna get improved that much more. What are the implications in the future? Like, how can you trust seeing a video online with all this fake news stuff? I don't want to get too political, but it is tech related. Where
it is,
how, like, what can you trust? Do you see something online? Do you know that was this created by an AI or was this actually said by that person?
Right. Microsoft Sam has nothing on this technology. But yeah, it's they actually do mention Adobe demonstrated its Voco software in 2016, which could generate speech after 20 minutes. And Montreal based AI startup Lyrebird claims that it can do text to speech in under a minute. Or in just 1 minute of audio. So this one is the most impressive of all of them so far, and it does look like it gets much better once it's given a larger voice sample.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
because they include an audio clip in here with a whole model adaptation using 100 voice samples, and it sounds pretty good.
Mhm.
Like it's kind of terrifying. So
yeah, a lot of these, like the more samples you give it, the neural networks work better. The more samples that you have. So if you have a public figure, where you have so much of their recording already available, it'd be fairly easy to recreate something that again sounds just like that person. You can never tell. Maybe there could be like a way of like watermarking it to say, okay, like a regulation comes out that any of these type of software will be digitally watermarked in a way that says, okay, this is fake.
Yeah, it's going to be a dangerous. It's one of those technologies that's both incredible and very dangerous in implication. Kind of going off of what you said, just because it does, it's not certain how this could be used, because like you were saying, like it could be used to imitate a politician's voice or an actor's voice or something like that. And how long does it take before some bad actor doesn't use that watermark or generates their own technology and tries to spread false information or something like that, or even something as benign as bringing back an actor who had passed away 50 years ago or something as well.
Yeah,
using old movie clips and audio from that. Like, it's only a matter of time before we start seeing this in the real world, and I think only when that happens is when we'll start seeing this come up in a larger discussion around what exactly we should do with this technology and how it should be used and how it should not be abused.
Yeah. So. And I think the big corporations like Baidu and Adobe, if they ever release this type of software to the public, will make it so that you could easily identify it. It'll be responsible, like people don't fake it. But this is becoming more and more of a commodity at this point. AI, all these pieces of software, because there's so many different types of neural networks out there. Google has their own, the TensorFlow, right? It allows you to pretty much give you access to their data centers that has these special processing units that lets you use their tensor neural network, and it's pretty much accessible to anyone. So if someone wants to create it and just release it that doesn't identify it as being something fake, that you can't really rely on these big corporations to make it trustworthy. So since pretty much anyone can create
something like this, I think would be best served open source.
Yes,
not closed source
for sure.
Yeah, I think that would be one of the better approaches to this, because that way there could be some kind of digital signature around the voice or some kind of sub audio that people can't hear type sound that is like, oh, okay, this is not a human talking, this is an AI or something like that. But yeah.
So speaking of stealing people's voices, Twitter just suspended a lot of accounts who were known for stealing tweets.
Yeah. So these are some users that have been referred to as tweet deckers. And for anybody who isn't familiar with the term tweet deckers, these are large accounts known for teaming up in exclusive groups, is what they call tweet deck groups, and sending mass retweeting of one another's posts. And this often includes paying Twitter accounts as well. So people will pay to have their posts retweeted by these large accounts, almost generating a viral status for their posts and videos, just because of the reach that these accounts have. So some of these accounts were large, and I've seen some of these.
Oh yeah, a lot of my friends used, I've seen them repost these type of stuff before. I mean, they post funny stuff, so you retweet it, or memes or things like that. When I first heard the term tweet deckers, I had never heard of it before this article. I thought of the software called TweetDeck. I don't know if you ever used TweetDeck.
I actually used it for a while. Yeah.
It's still, I think, it's not going to be updated. I think Twitter said, no, we're no longer supporting this, but it's still out there. If you want to use it, one of the better desktop Twitter clients.
I actually have switched from that to Tweetin is another app that I use. It's like the same difference. You can control the tabs on and like run multiple Twitter accounts from it, because I used to have a couple of Twitter accounts, and one of them was basically an RSS feed that tweeted news articles out, and I subscribed to that one for news. But last week we reported that they were taking down bots, and I started getting emails from If This Then That through my hookup from that Twitter account saying that it had reached its post limit for the day. So I think that's gonna go away. But yeah, I'm familiar with that platform, TweetDeck, and some, like I was saying, some of these accounts, one of them is at Dory. There's, and I don't know if I want to go through and say these names, because a lot of them are, I don't want to give them any more publicity than they are.
I mean, they're suspended, so you can really, if you go through that, if you click on those links, so we'll have the link to this BuzzFeed article, but they'll have the links to those. You go to their accounts, they're just accounts suspended. And Twitter's feedback sort of from all this, that they said that they were violating the Twitter's terms of service, and some of these accounts had hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of followers, which is kind of crazy that Twitter would just lay down the hammer like that. I think they're on a on the road to trying to clean up Twitter. That's what the bot thing was.
This is part of a larger step with Twitter to clean up its act, because they've been known for allowing all kinds of like bots and accounts that control a large amount of what comes out of it as viral. And these are the two probably biggest steps in that direction, like you were saying. It's a good move, and I fully support this, because having several accounts control what is considered viral and what isn't, I think, is a dangerous practice. And I think it would behoove other social media accounts looking at you, Facebook, to follow this similar platform of getting rid of these types of articles and these news. Like it's almost like spam at this point too. So now it'll be much harder for users to sell, purchase, or attempt to artificially inflate account interactions. So as quoted by the article. But I'm happy that this is done. It's a ground for permanent suspension. And also, it seems like I know some of these accounts have resurfaced under other pseudonyms, and those subsequent accounts have also been banned.
Nice.
So
Twitter's on top of it. They're not messing around.
Yeah, they're putting their foot down. So
yeah. And this is another story that I didn't really post, but sort of related to this. It's Twitter related, but Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, recently said that they want a way to make everyone be able to verify their own account. So I think they have a huge problem of like these nameless accounts that you don't know who they are. Right. They're just posting stuff. So most people probably know this, but you can have this verified check mark next to your name that says, "Yep, you verified this is the person who they say they are," and they want to roll out a way to do that quickly and easily, because right now you sort of have to send in like a piece of identification, or you have to be a certain level of a quote unquote public figure. You have to have like an online presence so they can go out and verify, yep, this is the person who they say they are. But they want to roll that out to everyone on Twitter, so you can have this real identity sort of on Twitter to say, okay, this is the person, we verified it, this is not a fake account, or this is not trying to be someone who they are saying but they aren't actually that person. That's another step towards this sort of cleaning up Twitter.
Right. That's like I said, I like am super happy that they're actually going through it.
Yeah, because I really like Twitter, and I follow certain people to get information from them because I care about what they have to say, and I really like it. But yeah, it's kind of become, I don't know how to say, but like this is a cesspool of garbage sometimes.
Yeah, no, it is, and Twitter's hasn't exactly been known for being the bastion of good composure and polite conduct on the internet. It's not exactly known for being nice to people. And now I guess maybe next on their radar, what I would hope would be the rampant bullying and like neo-Nazi posts and like just the fake accounts that follow people. So hopefully that happens. I haven't checked iForo's Twitter account, but I almost want to go check our analytics and see if we had any bots tied to our account over the past couple of months, see if we've dropped in followers or gained any. I think that would be worth checking out. But I mean, speaking of bots, the Google is working on the Google Assistant. They're expanding its functionality. So there's a new feature for actions called custom device actions. Makers of specific smart devices and IoT can extend the assistant and add native functionality specific to their device. So for example, for anybody who may not be familiar with that type of a technology, anybody, and Ervin, you explained this pretty well to me on the pre-show, anybody who, for example, has like a washer or a fridge, and up until now, you would have had to have, say, like talk to LG fridge or talk to this to open up that API and talk to the assistant functionality that that specific device has. Now, for example, if you just said, hey, turn the washer on, or like, hey, set the fridge temperature to 30 degrees, now Google knows that you have a smart fridge hooked up, and for example, LG would have expanded that their technology to almost be a native device in the Google Assistant.
Yeah, so now those makers have the ability, when they program that sort of integration with Google Assistant, they have the ability to set generic terms what can trigger.
I like that.
Previously, they had to make something specific, so you could say, talk to my LG fridge and set the temperature to whatever degrees, and that's sort of convoluted, and there's a lot of words you have to see. You have to remember exactly what the trigger word is. Like, okay, how do I trigger? And the more that these assistants become a natural way of communicating with them, the easier it becomes for people to get comfortable and more used to like using it on a day-to-day basis. Just someone like this presence in your house that you could just talk to and ask questions and trigger certain actions, and you don't have to really think about it. The less you have to think about, how do I actually make my lights turn off, or make my fridge colder, or turn my washing machine on, the easier it might get, and more adoption that you get around the house. Because if you really like, okay, how do I turn on my washing machine with my voice? Okay, so you have to say this trigger word, and you have to say it in this order. If you don't say it, then it won't understand. The more that it becomes this natural language you say, and the Google Assistant is smart enough to figure out, okay, this is what I'm trying to do, and it does it, that easier that becomes, and more the wider adoption, I think.
Yeah,
because it's getting there. But actually yesterday I was asking Assistant for a conversion of units. I was trying to convert milliliters to ounces, and it said it, but it was fairly quick. So I never tried this command before, but I said, hey G, could you repeat that? And she's like, I said, and then she said, repeated the question. Cool. I didn't even know. I was just like, I would ask. I asked that sort of question that I would to a normal person. Hey, could you repeat what you said?
Yeah, so it'll just replay the last thing that it did.
I did notice, I don't know if was it my sort of just perception or something, but it did sound a little passive aggressive when it repeated. It's like, no, I already told you. But it might have been just my imagination.
Maybe if you listened the first time, we wouldn't be going down this road. Oh man. But some of the functionality they've actually they're showcasing at South by Southwest. So anybody who was in Austin this weekend, if you made your way over to the Google Assistant Funhouse at South by Southwest, you can check out their sock sorting robot or a beer ordering system.
No.
So that's pretty cool that they have that set up. But
there are also other additional new features. So notifications can now be subscribed to on the phone. So previously, if you've used, I know we've used it, we use Allo to communicate between all the 5 of us. But you can subscribe to certain notifications, like send me a quote every morning or whatever it might be. Send me daily stock updates. You can do that subscription within Allo, but you couldn't do that through the assistant built into Allo, but you couldn't do that in the actual assistant, which was sort of like, wait, what? But now that'll be rolling out soon. So if you want to get like a daily update on stock prices every morning, or stock would make sense actually at the end of the day. Or news alerts or things like that, you can ask the assistant to send you that at a certain time of day. Also, better support for media playback. So on the actual Google Homes, the physical devices, you can ask play an episode of a certain podcast, or play news briefings from different types of sources. And now that's better supported on the actual phone, your phone as well. So you can say the same type of trigger words, and you can get a better audio experience. Listen to sound clips, look at easily pause and replay it. Previously, you could trigger on your phone, but the interface was kind of janky. And it looks like the Daily Show action, for example, you can use it to listen to the latest episode or extended interviews on
same with
right now.
Same with this podcast. You'll be able to pause, replay, start and stop any episode you want.
Yeah, we're available on there.
Yeah, we are. So we gotta get into those flash briefings. I think that'll be a cool thing.
Yeah, that would be.
But yeah, so there's also a handful of new actions also. So according to this, they have American Idol, trivia from iHeartRadio, something called Calm, and the Mindfulness app. So it looks like they're putting a lot of work into the assistant, and this is only more evidence that Google's just raw access to data helps them expand functionality at a rate that Amazon hasn't been able to over the past 2 years, because they've all but caught up with what the Echo can do.
Mm-hmm.
And even in some areas surpassed them. Like, I guess going back to the device functionality and extending it to make it work like a native device, this would be taking something and no longer needing a skill for it. If you were on the Echo, it would just be a native thing that the Echo could do, to draw a parallel between both of those devices. And if you're using a HomePod, this is functionality that you'll just never have. So it's just something.
Never say never, but
it's highly... Well, I mean, they got to fix Siri first.
Yes.
Once they get Siri up, and it's like, I found something on the web for that. Oh man, but yeah. So speaking of not Siri, we have the latest version of Android that's coming out, and I know last year we were right around the second developer preview when this podcast started, and we had our little round table on what we thought the newest Android version was. And right now there's a lot of options for P. There wasn't a lot for O. And sadly Ovaltine didn't win on that one. But Android P is right around the corner. It's going to be released this fall. And they have a developer preview that's now available to flash onto any Android phone that is a first party. So I think it's a Pixel or a Pixel 2.
Yep. Those are, so this is the first release that Google is dropping the support for the Nexus devices. Sadly, RIP Nexus.
Good run.
It was.
This is officially the end of the Nexus era.
Yeah. So
I never thought I'd ever say that.
Google is no longer supporting major OS updates. They're still going to support security updates for an additional year to those Nexus, which is great. Devices, but it will no longer receive major OS updates like this P release. But now we get a first deliver preview, so it's only meant for developers right now.
Only by Developer Preview 3 it'll be stable enough to put on a phone.
Yeah. So Google launched, I think, was it the first time it was last year, the enrollment to the beta program, where you can just go onto his website and say, yeah, I want to enroll, and it'll just automatically, was it that the first time, was it last year that happened, or was it the previous release? I don't remember.
I think that has been available since N.
But yeah, so if you go, you can you can go to a certain website. If you have a compatible phone, you can just say enroll now. It'll automatically download the latest our developer preview image. Right now, that's not available because it's really meant for developers. You have to manually go on a computer, connect it, and know how to flash that image that Google makes available. So that's sort of a way to deter people who don't know how to do that, aren't sophisticated enough. But if you are, and you still want to try it, even though you're not a developer, you can if you have a original Pixel device, either the smaller one or the XL or the new ones as well.
They also recommend not installing it on your daily phone.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's the recommendation from Google, but I've seen reports on Twitter from people like Ron Amadio. I know who that is from Ars Technica, who's saying, he's asking, is like, could this be like the most stable developer preview 1 Google has ever released? Because it's my people are reporting that on the Pixel 2, their screen on times went from 4 to 5 hours per day to 7+. Wow. Just by installing Developer Preview 1 of Android P. That could potentially be that it's a fresh install and you don't have all these apps running, so it's sort of it's not really, also, we don't know if it's actually true, but people are reporting that it's fairly stable. So if you really you like to live on the edge, you can
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Because I'll end up installing this and then I'm going to hit with a show-stopping bug, and that'll be the end of that. But maybe I'll join in around Developer Preview 2 and get a first-hand look at it. But again, because right around when we started the podcast, I had the Developer Preview of Android Oreo on my device. And so did you. But
you want to run down some of the features, the major highlights?
I was actually going to say that some of that battery time may be due to one of the first things, and one of the things that I think is the most important feature of Android P so far that we've heard, which is the restricted access to the microphone, camera, and all sensors on the device that are idle. So now anybody who no longer has Facebook on the front of their phone and is no longer actively using Facebook, after a time, Facebook will no longer be able to access any of the device's sensors, which is an awesome thing, because there's been a huge problem in Android over the years of devices just runaway sensor usage and like gyroscope data and all that stuff. So I wonder if that is one of the bigger causes for saving on device battery life. Just having it flat out restrict sensor usage, so nothing's running in the background using any major processes. And I'm sure there's fixes for like things like Google Maps and stuff like that if it's not in the foreground.
Right.
Yeah, but aside from that, there's built-in support for more video and image codecs, including HDR, VP9, Profile 2, and HEIF, HEIC, with the latter bringing Android more in line with how iOS does things as well. So there's more information on this that's going to be later this year. We only really know that information for enhancing and refactoring media APIs to make them easier for developers to integrate with, which is nice. Because I know that was a step with I think that was kind of what they were trying to go for with the Visual Core, giving it more of a deep access for third-party developers. There's a multi-camera API finally in Android. This had been, for the longest time, written into the applications from the phone companies and manufacturers who have dual cameras on their devices. And I wonder if this means that we may see a dual camera Pixel 3 down the line.
We might, or if Google could be just trying to make it easier on these device manufacturers so they don't have to develop custom code to make the dual cameras work on their phone.
Yeah.
It's just built into the OS and it runs natively. It's not something layered on top, which could offer better performance. So now if you have one of those dual cameras, I know that the Pixel 2 does amazing work with just one, and it proves the point that you don't need two, but it could potentially mean that the Pixel 3 or whatever it might be called will have dual cameras. We don't know. Could be interesting to see, because we know how amazing one camera can, what it can do on the Pixel 2, and what could two, like what kind of improvements could that make. It's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, and then a couple other features that one more that's important to mention right now is Wi-Fi round trip time. So it allows apps to get indoor positioning data down to a couple of meters using the distance from Wi-Fi access points. So the example they provide in this article is of a mall and being able to get directions between stores, which is a nice feature.
Yeah, that's sort of interesting, and it's a very useful feature that you
gone are the days of crowding around the mall map.
Oh yeah, the mall map. Yeah, it's no longer useful. But I think it requires some additional hardware within the phone to support as well. So, and
then on top of that, there's better autofill, which Google announced their autofill API in Android Oreo. There's improved performance for art, and apps are now beginning to be written in Kotlin, which is the new language officially adopted by Android in last year's Google I/O. And also there's power efficiency in Android that like changes to the pieces that control that power efficiency, including doze, standby, background limits. And there's the job scheduler is also getting better at understanding the network state of the device. So apps that want to fetch data in the background will need to be tested against all of these power control features, which is probably another reason why you're seeing a huge step up in battery life, because the one problem with Android is it's the radio on the device radio and the radio noise that comes from it, and just that it's constantly receiving requests from background apps. And also there's some steps that Google's taking in bringing its bringing its applications up to date. So they're going to have to start targeting a platform later than Android 4.2. So if you're not using a recent SDK for your app, Google's going to, as they quote, make you feel bad by making your users distrust you by showing a pop-up to an app saying that this is targeting a platform earlier than Android 4.2. And then in 2019, they're going to later enhance that by supporting 64-bit hardware. And then also they're going to restrict access to non-SDK interfaces and non-public APIs. So basically they're saying that they may just straight up break apps that aren't using APIs that are approved by the Google Play Store. So this is a huge step forward in security and a huge step forward in bringing control to the market that is Android.
Yeah.
So, and I think this is Google beginning to realize that it needs to compete and get its apps down to the same level of efficiency as iOS. So,
want to hear my favorite Android P feature so far?
Yes.
It no longer changes the status and the bottom bar to that hideous orange when you turn on battery save mode.
Oh, thank God. Oh, my God. Android has the ugliest power save mode of all time.
And it also like when I don't know if you use it that often. I used to in certain situations.
Yeah.
It reduces the animations, like becomes really choppy. The whole operating system just becomes like this janky mess.
It does.
I don't know if you noticed it when you turn on power saver mode.
Nope. Yeah, they kill all the animation, so it's like the screen snap. It's like using an old version of Android. So
now, not only that they removed that hideous orange bar, it just behaves like it just turns off the background stuff, but it's not noticeable. The experience of using the phone doesn't change, doesn't dramatically differ in any way from when it wasn't on. You just get better battery life, which is also a great improvement. I tried it on the Pixel XL, the original one that I have, and yeah, it's great. Now I could be more inclined to use the power save mode
Yeah.
No, it doesn't really make the whole experience of using the phone horrible.
Right.
Yes, I
Yeah.
get better life, but I don't want to do anything on the phone because it's just so bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I think this is going to be the biggest visual and background change of Android since
Oh,
Nougat
yeah.
and
There's
Lollipop.
There's people suggesting that it's Material Design 2.0. Google hasn't been really made that official yet, but it's really something that they're really changing the way that it's looking. And I think this is just developer preview 1. So as more developer previews are coming out, I think we'll see iterations of this, and I think it might become official from Google, maybe during Google I/O. I know that's coming up fairly soon. That we'll hear more about this new type of design language that they might be going forward.
Yeah, and just a couple of quick additions to that before we move on to the next topic. They are also adding, this may be important for those people who have been following Mobile World Congress. There is notch support officially added.
I don't want to mention it. I don't want to give it fuel. I don't want the notch. No notch.
There's no notch allowed. Only in Minecraft do we allow notches. And they also have modified the quick settings drawer to look, it almost resembles the original iOS quick settings, the control panel, where they have the rounded app icons.
Yeah.
So that's something new. So there's a rounded icons in the control center, which I think is nice. And also they're embedding the functionality from Google's Reply app that they had released into the Android messages as well. So you'll have quick reply settings, just AI generated responses based on your last couple of text messages.
And it's built into the OS, so that means pretty much any messaging app could hook into it and start using it. You don't have to get a third-party app like you do now, this sort of beta that they put out.
Yeah, when you showed me that app, I noticed that it hooked into Skype Lite and Facebook Messenger Lite as well. So those were two apps that were definitely not first-party and definitely not in the forefront of Google's mind when they were developing it, which is just like skinned versions of the apps that require less data. So, but yeah, it's an exciting thing, and I think we're gonna be following this closely as it comes out. The new major updates for both iOS and Android are always exciting to report on, just because it's something that everybody deals with eventually. So, but something that Snap is dealing with, unfortunately, is their biggest round of layoffs, totaling in 120 engineers. So this is only another nail in the coffin for Snap.
Nail in the coffin. Maybe those engineers were the ones who made the Android app suck so much. So they're like, you guys are gone. You guys can't program for you guys can't make a proper Android app. We're just gonna leave.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I think it's more indicative of problems at Snap. Like sort of like it's not this huge redesign rolled out. It hasn't been really well taken by its users. There's huge petitions to change it back to the old design. People weren't a fan of it. It's losing a lot of money each and every quarter. And there's been several of these layoffs recently, and this is the biggest one so far.
They've previously laid off a couple dozen across its hardware and recruiting divisions last year, and a couple dozen more cuts in January across their various departments. And since then, they've slowed their hiring rate by about 60% last quarter, and they've reported having 3,069 employees at the end of 2017. So it is dropping.
3,000 employees for one app?
I mean, you got to have the spectacles and all the Discover stuff and my marketing team. This is part of Evan Spiegel's New Year, New Me movement, evidently. Just in a complete reskin of everything that is Snap. But it's something that other companies have gone through. I believe Facebook went through something similar to this when they were first starting and going through their growth. But it's something that they're focusing on. They said that they want to have a high-performing, technically excellent, and appropriately aligned teams going forward. So, And apparently also they withheld cash bonuses as well at the end of 2017 because of failure to meet their company-wide goals. So yeah, so we'll see.
So it could be those bad Android developers.
It could be, yeah. Maybe they were like, okay, this app is hot garbage. We need to fix it, and then they overfixed it, and now it's still hot garbage. But it's across both platforms now.
Oh yeah,
iOS users know what Android users have been complaining about for years now, except through a new and horrifying way, which is a Snap redesign. But
I have hopes for Snap. I want them to succeed. Because I like it. I've been using Instagram's sort of story feature more and more because it just works better in my opinion. But I think Snap has its place in the world. I don't want it to fail. But I mean they have some time, I guess, to turn the ship around and try to fix this.
No, this definitely isn't like the end for them. They can still easily come back from this.
Yeah.
Companies have come back from worse. So
yeah,
I mean, look at
Microsoft
and stuff back in the 90s and like Yahoo. I mean, not really Yahoo, but you know. But yeah, they've come back from worse. But,
yeah. I mean, Yahoo had worse. They leaked over 1 billion passwords. Accounts.
Yeah,
and that
if Equifax can do it, Snap can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, while the assistant is getting more functionality and Snap is losing employees and Developer Preview 1 is coming out, Amazon is laughing at everybody.
Creepily, by the way.
Yeah,
creepily laughing.
Over the past couple of days, there's been a lot of reports, I think originally reported by BuzzFeed, of the Echo devices laughing maniacally almost at various users. So some of which have happened in the dark for people who are alone. So the company was saying that the phrase a laugh or can you laugh or just laugh as well can have a few false positives. So they've updated it from a laugh to a can you laugh, and they say that's less likely to have false positives, and they're changing the response from just laughing maniacally to sure I can laugh followed by the maniacal laughter. So if you hear her say that, then you know it's a little bit easier to tell that it's a false positive. But yeah, some of the Twitter links in this article are hilarious of people reporting on this. The one Gavin Hightower was saying, lying in bed about to fall asleep when Amazon and the Echo Dot lets out a very loud and creepy laugh. He says, there's a good chance that I get murdered tonight. So, and also a lot of people were making a call back to 2001: A Space Odyssey when Hal acknowledges and laughs. It's like, I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
So, yeah, it's sort of freaky, especially when it happens when you're not trying to trigger anything. You just, for whatever reason, it heard something that sounds similar to the trigger phase, so it just starts talking. I mean, that certainly happened to me sometimes with Google Home, but this creepy laugh would just freak out.
Yeah, like
unplug, dude.
Like home alone in the dark in the kitchen, and you just hear laughing, or like you, like you're watching a video and then you just hear a laugh from behind you. And, oh my god, dude, I would be on the floor in the fetal position if I heard that.
Oh, they're coming! They're coming for us.
Yeah, I'd be like, they're on to me.
Yeah.
Oh man,
there was something funny, but Amazon took care of it, so they changed the trigger word now, so it's less likely to for it to happen.
I liked how their original comment was like, "Oh, we're aware of this." Just like, what?
Oh, we know.
Well, we know it's laughing at you. Alexa's not laughing with you; it's laughing at you. Oh man, but something else. The MoviePass CEO is also laughing at us. He proudly announced that their app is tracking your location before and after you watch movies. So I know I believe we discussed this when they initially announced this new service that was coming out. So For anybody who's not familiar, MoviePass is a subscription-based movie-going app which works for a select list of theaters, and you pay a monthly fee and you get access to one movie a day, I think it is.
So for movie buffs, serious movie buffs, this could this is very useful. It's like if you want to see every movie, you can save a lot of money if you just say this monthly subscription.
Yeah. If you watch more than one movie a month, you're saving money with this service. The only users who would miss out on things would be if you prefer IMAX or things. You'll still need to pay for that, but it's a subscription-based Spotify/Netflix-esque style movie-going app. But something they didn't tell us, and something they didn't even have in the company's privacy policy, which was their location tracking. They mentioned in their privacy policy that will be only used as a means to develop, improve, and personalize the experience. But I'm not sure how that helps when they're tracking you both before and after you go see the movie.
Yeah. So this all came out of an event held in Hollywood called the Entertainment Finance Forum. Sounds exciting. Sounds like an exciting conference.
The party down there.
He was giving the CEO of MoviePass was giving a keynote over there, and the title of the keynote was "Data is the New Oil. How will MoviePass monetize it?" And he further during the keynote mentioned that we get an enormous amount of information. He said that we watch how you drive from home to the movies, and we watch where you go afterwards. Kind of crazy that he publicly went and said that, and people after wait, what? Why are you doing this? Which is kind of why do you need to know how I got to the movie? I mean, I guess these companies want to collect as much data about each and every user as possible, and they could potentially use that down the line, even if it's anonymized in some way that you can't tie it back to me. I don't really care. You don't need to know how I got to the movie theater and where do I go after. Do I go out to dinner or do I go straight back home? What does that actually do for you? I get it. Data is the new oil. The title of the keynote. Data has value to it. I get that, but there's certain limits that you should not be able to collect.
Yeah, to tie in an earlier article, I wonder if the new Android P background data restriction is going to feed into their ability to access this information.
I mean, they already came out and they've updated the app on both iOS and Android to not do this anymore.
So the fact that they took
from the backlash
caught doing this, or in this case bragging about it at a financial conference, Finance Con. Basically, the fact that it caught them bragging about this is a little bit disconcerting. So, what other apps are doing this? We know Uber does it, but what about
Uber has said that they do track, after you get out of the car, where do you go?
But and it's,
I don't
know, but they need to what they're saying in the article is they're saying some people sure might, and if they knew their activities were being tracked at this level of granularity and with such a cavalier attitude as well to be packed up and sold, I wonder exactly what that means for their subscription service. I don't know if I would want to continue using this service if I knew that they were tracking me as much as they were. It may be something worth trying out, but I don't know if I want to do that for long. But so they did provide an update to close out this topic, saying that they're exploring utilizing location-based marketing as a way to help enhance the overall experience by creating more opportunities for our subscribers to enjoy all the various elements of a good movie night. What?
One thing that I could see it being used for. So you go and then the movies, and they could use that data to see, okay, where do people go out after the movies to get a better experience? Maybe after you're done watching the movie, it'll suggest, hey, you want to maybe go out to this restaurant. Do people like to go there after seeing a movie at this theater? a nice place. Maybe that could be one, but I can do that on Google Maps now. I go like, I want to go out to eat or get some grub and see what places are around me that have good ratings. Like I could do that. I don't need Movie Pass to do that suggestion for me. Or
the one benefit they do mention in the update is rather we will use it to better inform how to market potential customer benefits, including discounts on transportation, coupons for nearby restaurants, and other opportunities. So that is a benefit over just specifically knowing what restaurants are in the area. If they can offer you a discount to one, then maybe that would be a little bit more worth it. But it's just the attitude that they had about how cavalier they were with admitting that they just farm.
Yeah, we track every single step you take to inform the movies.
I mean, then again, who doesn't? But like, don't be so cavalier about it, you know.
Or put it in your privacy policy.
Yeah, include it in your
It's not like anyone reads that, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you have it. But I don't know. Yeah, it's only they say it's to improve their service, but I think it was more of a it's better to apologize and ask for permission, or ask for forgiveness and ask for permission thing, where they just see what they get away with until they get caught. But I don't know. It's a little ridiculous, but
got a little news item at the end of the last article we talk about. We've heard of self-driving cars. Uber as well as Google are testing the actual just cars, were passenger cars. And now both have announced this week. I don't think it's a coincidence that they announced in the same week. Both of them, both Uber and Waymo, Google's Waymo, are now testing self-driving trucks or big pickup trucks. So Uber said on March 6th that they are starting to make deliveries in Arizona using their self-driving trucks. They acquired a company that does this. I forget what the name of it. Back up on.
No, I don't see it.
But yeah, they
Auto.
Yes, Auto. They acquired that company.
Yeah.
Then now they're testing the self-driving cars or trucks. It's still gonna have a driver in it, right? So just to monitor what's going on within the cars or the trucks. I keep saying cars. Back in 2016,
it's a big step.
It's huge.
Cars are so used to Uber only dealing with self-driving cars, but
yeah,
stepping into the self-driving truck market is just another piece of competition for what Tesla's already working on.
Yeah.
But some other, I think there's a German self-driving truck division also in Europe that's also working on it, sponsored by Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just another piece of competition and another push towards self-driving and autonomous vehicles. So much for that 50-year estimate that was given by the
I know a lot of people don't think that a lot of people think that self-driving vehicles in general, not just trucks but vehicles, are far away, but they're not. They're really not. They're in most people's lifetimes. Like in the next 10 to 15 years, it's going to be very, very common for a vehicle to not have a driver. I'm putting my money on that.
Or for cars that are announced to come with a autopilot mode that is a true autopilot mode.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that was standard in vehicles going forward, if there was a switch you could throw to go into an autopilot mode.
And not a lot of people say within like the technology wasn't the limit, but the regulation was. But we see more and more states approving the use of self-driving technology where there's no law requiring someone to be behind the wheel of a vehicle. I know Arizona was one of the early ones who approved this tech, and I know that's where Waymo is doing all this testing. Uber's doing it. Like in this article, they're testing this self-driving car because in Arizona they don't have that law anymore. Right. And now the most recent state that approved it was California, where they no longer require a person to be behind the wheel of a car, so they can legally start testing states. So
Yeah.
that sort of story where they say that the regulation will be the government's sort of move slow, is not certain states are really proactive and starting to approve these types of regulations quicker than I think most people have thought, and I think the technology is catching up, and it'll be here sooner than like we said most people think.
Yeah, and they made their first delivery back in 2016 with these trucks as well.
Yeah, they delivered some
2,000 cases of Budweiser from Fort Collins to Colorado Springs.
They could have picked a better beer, but that's fine. That's
I know.
not.
Well, isn't that a Colorado beer? So I guess that would make sense.
Yeah.
State beer in Colorado.
Yeah.
But
so a couple days later, Waymo also announced that they're doing self-driving trucks. So of course, Waymo is Google's Waymo is famous for their self-driving cars. They do in Phoenix, Arizona. They launched their sort of taxi service that has no driver at all in sort of testing mode, and now they're testing it with trucks as well. To haul loads to Google's data centers in the state of Georgia.
Well, also to link these two together, Google or Uber and Waymo are actually something that we would have never expected. They're considering partnerships with each other, finding ways to get Uber integrated into Waymo's autonomous vehicles. So, like, that's a rumor that's happening right now, but business relationships are just strange things.
I mean, maybe they're realizing it's better to work together than against, right? Doing a competition, because it overall will benefit everyone. Right. I think
it's like a keep your enemies closer type thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It could be that too. But yeah, it's interesting, and yeah, both of these companies are still requiring to have right now a human driver behind the wheel, just to make sure everything's happening the way it's supposed to, and take over in case anything happens. But eventually down the line, they could do sort of like they'll have someone remotely monitoring a truck. Nobody has to physically sit behind the wheel, and then perhaps a couple of years down the line, you can have one person just monitoring a fleet, like 10 trucks at a time, and make sure everything's going up to snuff. But I don't know what this means to truck drivers out there. I don't know how they feel about this. It's definitely this sort of huge thing where people are talking that these technologies are taking people's jobs. And it's
It's a real threat.
It's becoming a real threat for sure.
And I think a bigger conversation needs to be had on what we're going to do with this influx of people who will be displaced from this technology. And I think that's something that, as a country and as a global economy, we're ignoring. So it's a tough question to answer, really. I mean, you could always pivot the people from this technology, offer them career paths into, say, like the monitoring of these vehicles, maintenance of the vehicles, something that's a little bit more of like a solution instead of extending the problem, because I think that with this there will be a wave of unemployment that comes from it, at least if they're not monitoring, because I feel like with trucks it wouldn't be hard to similar in the way we have long distance pilots on airplanes. At least for trucks, just have them to monitor these things because they're huge, and if they get into an accident, they could kill people pretty easily.
Yeah.
So I think that it'll be a job to be a monitor on these trucks, someone who's trained in what to do in case they need to take control of it, but at the same time
remotely pilot it like you do a drone or something.
Yeah.
If it comes down to that situation, maybe it signal to that person that it's encountering a situation where it's not sure how to handle it, so someone can remotely take over.
Yeah. And there's other companies that have also been working on this as well. There's a startup called Starsky Robotics announcing remotely driven trucks, as well as Embark, which has actually been hauling cargo since last fall. So there's some competition in this market. Now you have Uber, Starsky, Embark, and Waymo all getting into the self-driving and autonomous truck technology. So,
And well, a lot of people are saying this is the easiest type of driving to automate because a lot of it's on highway, and a lot like my car can do the highway self-driving now, and it's one of the easiest ways. Like that's where I trust it the most. So like it's fairly straightforward. Like there aren't that many crazy variables that you might see on like a back road.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for the innovation to happen on driverless trucks before it does on regular passenger vehicles, because they might encounter, those passenger vehicles might encounter so many different types of environments than a truck might. So it makes sense that we would see more and more innovation there first. And I think we'll see more and more things being public and actually being used in real world in trucks before we see it in real passenger cars.
Yeah. And some of these are working on different levels. I think Waymo was working on level 4 vehicles, handling city streets as well as highway. Embark is only focusing on the freeway aspect of it. So it's different levels, and they all have different answers to different problems. So, but it's definitely something that's developing at a rapid rate, and something that we need to solve now, or at least look at. Just because it's important, but what else would be important? But yeah, if that's everything, I think that brings us to the end of the episode. Yeah, this has been episode The Answer to the Life, the Universe, and Everything, episode 42. I
was wondering if you're going to make that joke, because I thought of that as well.
It was ready. It was 100% ready. But yeah, for us, if you liked what you heard, you want to hear more of it, we do this weekly. We stream weekly to industry40.podbean.com. That's where we call home. You can find us on our RSS feed on all of the major players in podcasting. You can find us on Google Play and iTunes at Industry 4.0 and Stitcher at i4o. You can find us weekly live on Twitch if you haven't already found us through this live stream on Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter, all at Industry 4.0, all spelled out. And if you like what you heard, or if you have any suggestions or improvements, feel free to leave us a review at iTunes or Stitcher. We love reading it, and we like learning what we're doing right and learning what we're doing wrong, and it helps us improve the podcast. And I hate to beg, but please get a friend to leave a review, and it will be very constructive for us to allow us to know what we're doing right, like I said, what we're doing wrong. And it's not just because we want reviews, it's just because we want to make the show better for you guys. So that being said, if you like the music that you heard on this episode, if you're listening to us after the fact, you can find that at soundcloud.com/thejbones, produced in-house by our very own Jeff Budzinski. And you can check out, if you liked some of the pictures that he uses on those albums, some of them are hosted by our very own Ryan Thompson at flickr.com/photos/Wayne Thompson. His Instagram is also fairly active as well at WayneRyan21. And Ervin, you have pictures as well on Ervin.Lucas on Instagram.
Yep.
So
I haven't been posting that much lately, but hopefully soon.
Yeah. And also, not to interrupt you.
No,
you can finish your sentence.
Yep.
Okay. I was gonna say, on my personal website, I have mattpslav.in/i4o, and you can find some more information on the podcast there as well. So just figured I'd offer that as well, and that has a player with the latest 10 episodes on our podcast if you want to listen to it on a mobile or web browser. So yeah, go ahead if you were gonna say something about the podcast.
No, that's it.
All right, cool. That's been episode 42, and we will see you guys in the next one.